Well, it's these things just kind of happen, I guess. So this video is going to be a more personal one. Um, I guess you could say this is coming out of the closet. Um, Not really, because I think I may have mentioned this a few times before, but this is a kind of an official video. Um, so yeah, for those of you who don't know, I am bisexual. Um, I was thinking maybe being pansexual, but I don't, but bisexual is just easier to explain. So I'm just gonna go with that for now. And I think that describes me quite well. That's just who I am. I am bisexual. That's it. Really all there is to it. Uh, yeah. When did I know? It's kind of a long history. Not really though. Basically, what happened is I decide is that when I was it was like when I was in middle school. Um, Now when I was like 11, like back when I was like in say because middle school where I went to was actually started at fifth grade and not sixth grade, so that's kind of a that might be a bit unusual. But like yeah, so when I started middle school in like fifth grade, I was pretty much of the opinion that I was straight because that's what I thought I was for like the throughout like all of like earlier all throughout my like first like my child years, my very young child years. I thought I was a I thought I was straight, and yeah, I remember it was I remember gay being used as an insult back then, pretty like a lot. So like you know, I was also homophobic. I'm gonna be completely honest. Back at that point, yeah, I just didn't want to be gay. I, I people hated back then. You were like, it was like a crime to be gay. Like people hated you for being gay. It was not the best place to be where I went to school. Um, and I fully joined into that, bought into that until like I realized when I was 13, when I really started displaying like sexual attraction, I was like, I thought I was gay at first because I thought I was gay at first at 13 like this, but then I examined myself a bit more and as it turns out I'm not gay. I'm bi. I'm not like I wasn't like I wasn't just like attracted to guys. I still liked girls too. So it was kind of simple. At first, I actually hated myself for being gay. I mean, not being gay because I thought I was gay, but like I hated myself at that point because I was like, oh no, like I don't want to be that. That sucks. But I eventually learned to accept it, and nobody really cared. I mean, school was it was not a very the school I went to was not a very good place. I'm kind of glad I'm out because like I graduated last year because I really don't like that. I really did not like the school district I had to go to. Lots of lots of horrible shit in that school district. Um I live in a like I live in a rural area in Pennsylvania somewhere. And I can tell you that where I live, racism is kind of a problem. Um, what do you go? What do you do about it? Well, you go to the school, you go to school, you find almost like nearly every student is white. There's very few like non-white students. Almost all the teachers are white. Like almost all the staff members are white. Mostly everyone there is white. It wasn't very diverse, but that wasn't just it. It was also like a rural area where Like racism was just kind of a normalized, kind of just normalized there. It was, I mean, that it wasn't like it was just something that happened. Like again, like rural area, mostly everybody there was white. So obviously the school is pretty fucking racist. That's just how things are when you have those conditions. So, yeah. Um, there were a lot of Trump supporters too, and which kind of sucks. Um, yeah. They weren't just racist. They didn't like it was a lot of like homophobia too. Like they didn't. I mean, obviously, I mentioned like in middle school they always like used gay as an insult, and like gay was always like kind of synonymous with bad. So I guess that's why it took me a bit of a. And I guess after like 2 years of hearing that, I guess it took me a little of a longer time to accept that I was not straight because I didn't want to believe it at first. But it wasn't really that big a deal. I never really had like any harassment for my sexuality because I wasn't like actually in a relationship with anyone. Like throughout my entire life, I never had, not even in elementary school, but like I never had a relationship with anyone. I think one person throughout all of my high school career called me the F slur, and that was literally it. So overall, I really had like barely any trouble at all, even when I told people that I was bi. Um, Now, if I was in a relationship, I think things would be a bit different. Like, I'm not sure, like the teachers and all that they say stuff like no PDA. They said stuff like no PDA in the house in like the hallways. Um, but like, I mean, it was always just a guy and a girl. It was I'm pretty sure like I have a feeling that the students and the staff would react quite a bit more negatively if it was two guys doing a PDA in the hallway. I think that would go down quite a bit worse. I just have that feeling it would not go down nearly as well. And also two girls doing it. Yeah. Um yeah. That was I mean, yeah. The best part about like going to like a school like this, well, it's kind of tough. I know with like so many conservatives and Trump supporters there. They're flying like I don't know, like Confederate flags and Trump flags. They think abortion's murder and shit like that. Like it's just something that happens. Like you just gotta deal with it. It really isn't that big a deal. Just don't really talk about like politics or anything like that. It can get uncomfortable too. Like um, most of the people, like I'm gonna be honest, most of the people there who would be considered like the left would be like liberals. Like there really weren't many like legitimate, I guess you could say radical leftists. And I mean these conservatives and Trump supporters there, they really believed that the left I'm pretty sure a lot of them believed like that the left had like a control over the media and all the schools and shit like that. They really believed it. Like they thought all of it. like they fully bought into the anti SJW like real like dog like culture thing. They really bought into the anti SJW shtick that they thought it was real. Of course, like it's kind of hilarious because what these people consider the left is like fucking Nancy Pelosi. So, like obviously they're fucking idiots because, you know, I mean, yeah, it's pretty frustrating. But I actually can relate to these people somewhat. Not really, but I understand their thought process, if you understand. Because I was once in their shoes. Like, I mean, from what I've gathered, at least when talking about white people, I'm not sure about like other races, but at least when it comes to white people, most radical leftists, if you want to call them that, didn't really start out that way. Most of them were liberals or even conservatives at one point, and I can kind of, and I actually think I can understand the thought processes of these people more because I was once a conservative I was a conservative at one point. I was a liberal at one point. So yeah, like I started off like as a liberal, like pretty much a neo-lib, when I was like 13, because I mean, what political ideology do you have when you're 13? Like, I mean, liberal is kind of like the default for any like middle class white kid in a first world country who really doesn't really have any struggles. It's liberal. Like, yeah, wanna you call yourself like a progressive, you like abortion and like gay marriage and all that shit, but like really you're not really like striving for like radical change and all that. And then one of my more depressing moments that I still don't forgive myself is that I fully bought into the anti-SJW shit, like anti-SJW shit, the anti-feminist, anti-SJW train, fully went on it, and it was pretty fucking terrible. Um, yeah, I watched a bunch of really shitty channels. I bought into Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, Steven Crowder, Dennis Prager, Adam Carolla, like all their fucking bullshit that they spew. Like all these people are fucking idiots that should never be taken seriously by anyone. But I believe them. I believe them. I thought they were smart. They had good points. Now, of course, I look back at that and I think I'm a fucking idiot because these people in general that I used to support were always idiots. They were like, they never had good points. Like, they had no idea what they were talking about, quite frankly. Because anybody who thinks that the Democratic Party is left wing is a fucking idiot that has no idea what they're talking about. Because the Democratic Party is actually pretty moderately right wing. Like there is no mainstream left wing party in the United States. It just doesn't exist. And like once people realize that, I think that once people realize that, they kind of like start getting into like the radical leftist territory that many people are warning about. But yeah, I understand the thought. I think I understand the thought processes of like these people. So like it's better than most people because like I was once that person before. Yeah. So yeah, the school wasn't really good, but I was bi, and I never really ran into any problems with that. Um, I think that if I was in a relationship or I appeared more like visually, like I looked more like obviously blatantly like queer, like with the obviously like the stereotype is like the dyed hair and like the slight emo look, like bit of like an evolved emo look and like shit like that and like the nose piercings and all of that. I probably would have gotten a lot more shit in that place, but I kind of just looked like a normal guy, so people didn't really seem to have a problem. Um, yeah, the moral of the story is sometimes childhood sucks. I never really had any struggles growing up, but like still, it was pretty shitty. It's pretty fucking shit sometimes. Felt like shit a lot. Um, it's kind of annoying when like you have to reason with these people and they say like and you hear the like politics of these people and they obviously have no idea what the hell they're talking about. I mean, it kind of gets a little frustrating, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. Like, yeah, I remember one time on my I had a cross country team. This is a bit of another story. Um, and I remember my sophomore year. That was like when I was really into like the whole like anti SJW shit. And there were like a group of senior girls there who kind of got a lot of shit from like my group of guys, and I still feel terrible about that. Like in retrospect, I do probably disagree with the way they handled things, but like I probably wouldn't have done. I doubt I would have done it any better because I was a fucking pushover back then. I mean, you could probably just fucking you could probably just fucking strip me naked in the middle of the fucking like probably the middle of the fucking like nowhere, and I'd probably just say, and I probably would just take it because I because I was just such a fucking pushover. But yeah, I still feel bad about how I got two against them for no reason other than being a dick. Okay, yeah, just just kind of a shitty place. Glad I'm out of it now. Um, yeah, child, if you're in a bad place or a bad school, just know you're not going to stay there forever. And I intend to never really and I intend to never really step foot into the school district I grew up in ever again. So yeah, that's it. Um, hope you have a nice Thanksgiving tomorrow.